Well, it's interesting because under the Obama administration, the intelligence community made an effort to be more transparent, more public, and talk more about some of the big issues, including terrorism, cyber activity, to the public. And that really came to the forefront during the election when the intelligence community hesitantly, but decided it had no choice, started talking in October of that year, of October of 2016, about Russian meddling in the presidential election. And of course, as after Trump won, the intelligence community came out with its findings, concluding that Russia had in fact meddled in the election. That didn't sit well with candidate Trump or then President Trump. And so there were always these tensions. One of his first acts after he took the oath of office, he visited CIA headquarters, the headquarters of the U.S. spy agency, and he gave what some perceived as a very partisan political speech in front of their memorial wall, honoring their heroes, members of the CIA who fell in the line of duty, whose names the public will never know. Many in the intelligence community thought that was disrespectful. Others were encouraged. They liked what President Trump was doing. But the overall effect, and especially as the Russian investigation ramped up and more questions came out and this special counsel was appointed, the tensions just continued to boil. And it had what many former members of the intelligence community and former officials said was a chilling effect on how they communicated with the public, to the point where this past year, the intelligence community did not give its usual annual worldwide threats hearing to Congress. And even just a few years back in 2019, during the hearing, what the intelligence community leaders, the director of national intelligence, the CIA director, it bothered President Trump, and he took to Twitter lambasting them for their views on Iran, on North Korea, in one tweet saying that they needed to go back to school. There will still be some tension. There always is, because the intelligence community's mantra in the U.S. is to, as they put it, tell truth to power. But Biden, an experienced member of the Senate before he became vice president, and then 8 years as vice president, the relationships are a little bit better. So people are a little bit more hopeful that there will be a little bit more openness, a little bit more transparency under the Biden administration.
Now, Jeff, given those kinds of interferences from outside of the United States, how does the intelligence community then provide uninterrupted service to both the outgoing and incoming president, even at the very moment the power of the presidency changes hands?
Traditionally, the president receives his daily intelligence briefing called the President's Daily Brief, PDB. And so during an election, at a certain point, and it happened here, the candidate, when you have the leading candidates, both the Democratic candidate and the Republican candidate, so the president, his opponent will, or her opponent, as the case may be, will get briefings from the intelligence community. Once a winner is determined, then those briefings become more regular. And so for the past several weeks, for the past month or so, President-elect Joe Biden has been getting regular intelligence briefings, along with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, from the intelligence community. Usually that happens fairly quickly after the election. This time around, because of the delay in certifying the results by government officials who are supposed to say, okay, let's go move to the transition, it didn't happen right away.
Can you elaborate further on how the intelligence community provides security information regarding foreign activities, such as threats at the time of transition of power?
Well, with the United States, what we've seen over the past two elections now is a very prominent role for the intelligence community, which is something that is different. And it's really because of the way that social media works, that the internet works, where all these little things can have a huge impact on the domestic goings on of a country, specifically with elections. This time around, in the advance of the election, you had the director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe, come out with the director of the FBI and talk about Russian and Iranian attempts to influence voters, to scare voters ahead of the election, with a plot where Iran in particular was sending emails threatening people, or alleging that they were a member of a white extremist group in the U.S., the Proud Boys, and sending threatening emails to Democratic voters in an attempt to perhaps intimidate them or make President Trump look bad. During the campaign, there were intelligence officials who were constantly briefing both President Trump and President-elect then candidate Joe Biden on what was going on.